You are listening to Julia's Trucking Cafe News Hour. And welcome to Julia's Trucking Cafe Trucking News Hour. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy that you're here and that you want to listen to the trucking news. As always, I have lots of news to get to, so let's get right to it. In this story, authorities say that a truck stop popular with both locals and the trucking community was damaged in a fire. The fire occurred early Monday at the Tennessean truck stop off of I-65 at exit 22 or in Cornersville, Tennessee. This happened around July 18th, 19th or so. The fire reportedly began in the kitchen when an employee turned on the broiler. Then it spread, causing the ceiling of the restaurant portion of the truck stop to cave in. The restaurant is thought to be a total loss. Luckily, no injuries were reported. Quote, "This truck stop is an iconic place. This is certainly heartbreaking and it hasn't even set in yet," said the owner, Gregory Sachs. Sachs has owned the truck stop since 2017. And there again, I'm blundering and blabbering and everything. I'll talk right eventually. So sorry, everybody. You can have a giggle on me. And if you're watching the video, you could definitely see the flames at least several blocks away. It was a few 3 or 4 alarm fire, from what I understand. And up next, St. Paul construction project is to cause heavy traffic headaches on the interstates through the fall of 2022. Minnesota Department of Transportation has kicked off a major construction project in the St. Paul area, and that's expected to cause major traffic troubles for the next year. A $27 million I-94, I-35E resurfacing project in St. Paul began on July 18th and is expected to continue through the fall of next year, 2022. Around 200,000 vehicles use this corridor per day, as the stats they say, so the project is expected to have a significant impact on traffic. According to Minnesota DOT, construction will progress from east to west and be split into 3 stages, each stage with 2 substages for work on inner and outer lanes. Construction will reduce capacity to 2 lanes in each direction and require long-term closures of ramps into and out of downtown St. Paul. The construction schedule is also subject to change. During the work, crews will resurface the interstates, work on ramp repair and drainage, and upgrade pedestrian accessibility to the ADA standards, meaning the sidewalks and stuff will also be handicap accessible, I'm sure. From July 18th through mid-August, the left 2 lanes of I-94 in both directions will be closed between west of Western Avenue and St. Peter Street. Additionally, starting July 21st, the ramp from 12th Street to westbound I-94 and southbound I-35E will be closed. The second phase of the project will take place from spring through midsummer of 2022 from Marion Street to I-35E. And in the third phase of the project, the work will move to I-35E to Mounds Boulevard. This will take place midsummer through fall of next year. And they also have a map about what exactly the downtown area, but anything along I-94 is going to be impacted. So stay the heck off of I-94. And in our next story, a trucker that was convicted in the death of 6 people demands victims to cover the court costs. Now, this is a misleading title to this article. And as I read the article or let you know what actually goes on in the article, just listen closely because, like I said, it is misleading. A truck driver previously found guilty for the death of 6 people says that victims should cover some of the court costs after violating court rules by facilitating a press release. Now, that's not necessarily the victims. I'm thinking it should be the state. This crash happened in Hamilton County, Tennessee on Interstate 75 in 2015, and truck driver Benjamin Brewer was convicted in 2018. Remember me reporting on this story. Now, Brewer and his employer, Cool Runnings Express, wants the victims to pay back $10,446.64 in court costs stemming from a civil trial alleging that Brewer's company did not properly investigate his driving history prior to the crash. According to the local news outlet, the plaintiff's attorneys hired a public relations firm, which published a press release regarding the court case. This is an extreme violation of court rules. After the statement was released and the defendants accused the plaintiffs of wrongdoing, the plaintiff's attorney, Mr. Ellis, denied ever having hired the public relations firm. When he was asked 3 times by the judge, he initially told the judge that he issued a prepared statement when contacted by the media and not worked with the firm to prepare a press release. But then later on, after he was pressured by the judge, he admitted that he had facilitated the publishing of a press release after all. And Brewer's attorney, Rebecca Blair, states, "I am a little flabbergasted, frankly, by this so-called press release." According to court documents, one of the exchanges regarding the publishing of the release went as follows. Mr. Ellis: "So I knew that this could potentially be a media firestorm, so I reached out to somebody so I would not have to deal with them, with the press, and said, I need you to handle these people. Here you go." Mr. Griffith, the judge: "And who is that?" Mr. Ellis: That's Holly. That's that Holly, Miss Holly Gribbs, or I think that's her name." Mr. Griffin: "So you did hire Holly House Marketing." Mr. Ellis: "Well, to handle the press. Did not want to handle the press. I said, hey, if the press contacts you, you handle it." Mr. Griffin: "So you contact Holly House Marketing to handle the press, and then when the press contacts you, you issued a statement?" Mr. Ellis: "I had a prepared statement based on my conversation with her saying, this is what I think we could do. If the press contacts you, this is our statement." Brewer was convicted of 6 counts of vehicular homicide by intoxication in the deaths of the 6 people back in 2018 and was sentenced to 55 years in prison. He was on meth also at the time of the crash. Because of the confusion and disagreement surrounding the press release, the judge had delayed the civil trial indefinitely. Jury selection was supposed to begin June 1st. And nearly 1,300 trucks were taken off the road during a surprise single-day brake blitz. The CVSA, affectionately known, or Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance, released the results from an unannounced brake inspection enforcement effort ahead of the upcoming Brake Safety Week blitz. July 19th, they announced that a surprise Brake Safety Day took place throughout U.S., Mexico, and Canada on May 26th of 2021. I knew about that. Quote, "Inspectors conducted their usual inspections and reported brake-related data to CVSA for Brake Safety Day. We are sharing the results to call attention to the importance of commercial motor vehicle brake safety. During the single-day effort, inspectors in Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. conducted 10,091 inspections and placed 1,273 vehicles out of service for brake violations. Most of the inspections, 8,658, took place in the U.S. In Canada, officers conducted 946. A total of 487 inspections were conducted in Mexico. The out-of-service rate for brake violations was 13.3% in the U.S., 11.4% in Canada, and 2.9% in Mexico. Well, you can't go by that number because the U.S. did more inspections than both of them put together. Most of the out-of-service orders were issued in the U.S. Well, duh. A total of 1,151 vehicles removed from roadways due to brake violations. During that safety day, inspectors focused on brake hoses and tubing violations. A total of 1,725 brake hoses/tubing violations were reported. Canada was 251 chafing violations, and Mexico reported 186. The Brake Safety Week enforcement is taking place this year from August 22nd, yes, that's this month, people, to August 28th. Brake hoses tubing will also be the area of special emphasis for that Brake Safety Week. Mark it on your calendars, August 22nd through the 28th. Oh, and if you're watching the video, you're going to love this ding-a-ling. An oversized load strikes a bridge and gets wedged underneath it. The Massachusetts State Police are asking drivers to seek other routes for the day after a bridge strike occurred in Medford, Massachusetts. This was shortly after 4 p.m. on Monday, southbound I-93 at exit 24 in Roosevelt Circle. 1 second, please. I want to make sure I'm getting my date right here. I have to pull up my little calendar because it's not giving me a date on that. That would be the 19th of July. In images captured at the scene, you can see a truck marked as oversized load wedged under the bridge along with what appears to be damage to the structure. Yeah. It looks like he's hauling one of these grain, like a cone, or for powder or something. It's kind of like a gravity box, but on a stand. And it's so tall that he went underneath. No injuries were reported. The two right lanes of South I-93 were closed in both directions. An overpass as crews clean up the crash and inspect the bridge for damage. The Massachusetts State Police are asking drivers to avoid that area. And that strike is still under investigation. And in our next story, the feds launch an investigation into brakes after trucks catch fire. As many as 5,000 semis may be affected. And this is the reason why I do the show, to let everybody know what's going on as far as recalls and everything, and not just, the bad things that are happening out in the industry. So, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or affectionately known as NHTSA, they launched an investigation after quote-unquote multiple fleets reported issues with the air brake system, which include vehicle fires. In a July 16th notice, the agency confirmed that an investigation has been opened into Haldex Gold Seal air brake chambers installed in model year 2015 to 2020 after complaints of air loss resulting in multiple vehicle fires. An estimated 500,000 trucks could be affected. The agency describes the defect as, quote, the power spring fractures. Okay, you have cracks in it. Puncturing the diaphragm. So you got a rod, you got a spring, and you got this big pancake diaphragm, which causes the air loss within the spring brake circuit, resulting in brake drag without sufficient warning to the driver, end quote. So it's not a complete air loss, it's what I call pissing out air. So it's like psst. And according to documents, 11 vehicle owners reported failure of the Haldex brake chamber without discernible warning to the driver. In 7 of those cases, owners reported thermal events causing extensive fire damage to the vehicle, and in some cases to the cargo as well. Quote from the article, in at least one of the fires, a fire investigation report identified a wheel end fire as the origin, meaning the hub. Analysis of other failed units found Haldex brake chamber diaphragms punctured by the power spring. After receiving these complaints, officials, quote, learned that multiple fleets were having issues with numerous vehicles. The Office of Defects Investigation, ODI, further learned that Haldex agreed to replace brake chambers on some of the vehicles in these fleets. The National Highway Transportation Safety Administration investigation could lead to a recall of those brake chambers. That's going to cost them a chunk of change. And now this story doesn't have much to do with truck transportation, but it's still in with the transportation per se. An 18-year-old pilot makes an emergency landing on a major New Jersey highway. A young man successfully made an emergency plane landing without injury on a New Jersey highway on July 19th, near Atlantic City. The 18-year-old Landon Lucas was flying a small banner plane when it began having engine trouble. It's kind of like a Cessna, but not really. It's a single prop. So Lucas reported the issue, released the banner into the ocean, and was attempting to make it to the Ocean City Municipal Airport when he noticed a gap in traffic on westbound Route 52. Lucas then seized the gap and landed the plane on the roadway without incident, according to a witness. In fact, the plane wasn't even damaged. Quote, "We were sitting at a window seat at Ovis on the boardwalk about 11 a.m. when my husband looked up and said, 'That plane is in trouble,'" said Sharon Lyons Wardlow, who saw the incident. "It was low to the beach, traveling slow with the banner hanging down. We rode up and couldn't believe what we were seeing, but it's really a young pilot and what an amazing job he did," one woman said. "It's incredible that he was able to pull this off, so hats off to the pilot." It's not easy. It's really a challenge. I'm very proud of him. It's really phenomenal that he was able to do this safely. Justin said, who was in charge of his boat at the time of the incident, was able to see the touchdown. He says he is a pilot himself. Thankfully, the stray plane sitting on the roadway did not cause any wrecks. Excuse me. Though it did snarl traffic for some time as the plane was removed and the incident investigated. The wings had to be removed from the plane in order to tow it back to the airport. Lucas had just earned his pilot license 3 months before. Excuse me, and declined to be interviewed, but he said he was okay. And up next, a motorist's unsafe merge sent a semi careening under an overpass. This happened in California. The highway patrol there says that a car driver's bad merge maneuver was to blame for a crash at Sacramento. This happened July 19th. According to the highway patrol, the crash occurred as the driver of a Chrysler 300 merged into the southbound State Route 99 from westbound Florian Road at an unsafe speed. Police say due to the unsafe speed, the Chrysler driver lost control and struck a semi traveling in the slow lane, taking out the right front suspension of the rig, which caused it to veer off the right side of the road, taking out about 100 feet of guardrail before becoming wedged under the Florian Road over crossing. Nobody was hurt. Highway Patrol warned other drivers about the dangers of speeding, detailing the incident. Quote, "Please slow down. For more than 2 decades, speeding has been involved in approximately 1/3 of all motor vehicle fatalities. 2019, 9,478 individuals were killed in traffic collisions involving unsafe speed, which accounted for 26% of all traffic fatalities," they said in their post. And in this story, a man responsible for a gas station tanker truck chaos returns to the scene less than 24 hours later. A man police say is responsible for causing a fire at a gas station in Oklahoma has been arrested after returning to the scene of the crime less than 24 hours later. This incident also happened on Monday morning, July 19th. 21-year-old Kevin Olaba wasn't arrested until he returned to the scene around 2 in the morning on Tuesday in Oklahoma City. According to the local news, truck driver Ronnie Wade was hooking up to the fuel lines beneath his tanker when Olaba's vehicle suddenly rammed his truck, pinning him underneath and covering him in gas. Wade was then able to crawl out from under the tanker and make it to the corner of the building. He was later found lying on the ground by police responding to the scene. They described him as suffering from a large cut on his arm with massive swelling covered in gas, and repeatedly telling officers that he was on fire, although he was not. Wade says he does not remember seeing or hearing a vehicle prior to the incident. After striking the truck, Oliba allegedly circled the parking lot, targeted a gas station employee, and intentionally accelerated or sped up to hit the employee. The car pinned the employee's leg between the car and the post before backing up and ramming him again. What, are you on drugs, dude? Jesus. Oliba then backed off, got out of his vehicle, stumbling around, looking confused before fleeing the scene on foot. At some point, the tanker truck and a smaller car then caught fire. The next day, 24 hours later, Oliba returned to the gas station wearing his same clothes and suffering from burns. Employees called the police and he was taken into custody and transported to the hospital. Once released, he was then booked into Oklahoma County Jail on 2 complaints of assault with a deadly weapon. The extent of the gas station employee's injuries are not clear, but Wade suffered 3 broken ribs and a fractured ankle, the truck driver, and he is currently recovering. And in Tennessee, a truck crash ties up traffic, triggering a massive cargo spill. Tennessee transportation officials were still working to clean up a huge amount of debris spilled in an early morning crash on Wednesday, July 21st. This crash occurred around 2 in the morning on Interstate 81. Police say that a southbound semi-truck changed lanes on 81 near mile marker 42 and struck a Chevrolet Spectrum, sending both vehicles off the roadway. Both the truck driver and motorist were injured in the crash. Tennessee DOT, shared photos that show heavy damage to the truck and a large amount of material spilled from the trailer onto the side of the interstate. Local news outlet reports that charges are pending against the Texas-based truck driver, Camel Diaz Garcia, 45. Crews were still working to clean up the cargo spill as of about 8 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. And there's the debris spilled along the side of the road if you're watching the video. And in continuation of the story that we just talked about with a company involved in the oversized load, it's found out on further research that they had previous violations and collisions. In that accident, the driver was cited for operating a vehicle that was over height and for violating a permit issued by the DOT, but not having flag cars and for being off route. I-93 was not on the truck's permitted route, and he's facing a $210 fine. Now it's revealed that the trucking company, Dove Transportation out of Alabama, has been involved in 5 crashes and multiple violations in recent years. However, the violations are all considered low risk and no injuries or fatalities were suffered. Additionally, the truck involved in the bridge strike was most recently inspected in April of this year and had no violations. Dove Transportation declined to comment except to say that they are waiting for the investigation of the incident to conclude and what exactly caused the crash. A 7-foot section of the damaged overpass is currently being demolished as part of the repair and is expected to continue through July 21st. The completion of the repair is expected to take several months, and the overpass will be closed throughout that time. Drivers are to expect continued delays on Route 1 South, Route 16, and Route 28, while long-term repairs are made. Quote, "Our first priority is to safely stabilize the structure, which is underway," said the highway administrator. Drivers are urged to avoid the area and consider public transportation options until I-93 South can be fully reopened. Travelers who use Roosevelt Circle should expect restricted lanes for several months until permanent repairs can be made. Obviously not excited said Kloster, who lives right around this Roosevelt Circle in Medford. This is going to be our new normal for the next coming weeks or months. Is that the key phrase now? New normal. And a trucker wanted for sex offenses is caught after a 2-vehicle wreck. A truck driver wanted in Ohio for failure to register as a sex offender has been arrested after his involvement in a 2-vehicle crash. This accident happened on Saturday, July 18th in Conemaugh Township, Ohio. Pardon my pronunciation. According to the local news, 56-year-old trucker Brian Parker Rutledge was heading north on Route 219 near a construction zone just before the McNally Bridge when a pickup truck smashed into the back of his semi. Although no one was seriously injured, the two 17-year-old boys inside the pickup were transported to a nearby hospital as a precaution and later released to their parents. Alcohol may have been a factor in the wreck. Although Rutledge was not at fault in the accident, when police realized that Rutledge was already wanted for his failure to register as a sex offender from a previous case in Ohio, they placed him under arrest. Rutledge is being held in Somerset County Jail and will be extradited back to Ohio. Rutledge was reportedly convicted of voyeurism with sexual motivation, a Tier 1 sex offense back in 2014. So that was quite a while ago, but he's still supposed to register. That was part of his parole or probation. And in this story, look how they packed them all in there if you're watching the video. A trucker is charged after Texas troopers find 115 people packed into a refrigerated trailer and smuggled into the U.S. The U.S. Department of Justice says that a truck driver will face federal charges, in connection with the large-scale human smuggling incident discovered in Texas. 43-year-old Texas resident and truck driver Michael Warren McCoy was scheduled to appear in Laredo federal court on charges related to human smuggling. Texas troopers pulled over the truck driven by McCoy on U.S. Highway 59, approximately 8 miles east of Laredo. The truck was reportedly pulled over because the driver failed to stay in a single lane. In other words, he was reeving all over the damn place. When police cut the seal on the trailer doors, they discovered 115 undocumented individuals concealed within it. McCoy was arrested and booked in the county jail. According to the criminal complaint, McCoy expected to be paid $250 for transporting the trailer full of people across the border. He allegedly made 3 similar human smuggling attempts prior to the one on Monday. If convicted, McCoy faces up to 10 years of federal prison and approximately $250,000 maximum fine. So, there you go. See, $250,000. Yeah, no thanks. You ain't paying me enough money. $250 per head, but not $250 for a whole trailer full. I don't think so. And how do you get a trailer to stand on end? Just hit a bridge so doggone hard that it falls off the side. A trucker is responsible for striking a bridge so hard it shifted, and also he had an expired license. The truck driver involved in an accident that shifted an entire overpass 6 feet has been officially cited. This happened in Georgia. According to local news, 40-year-old Cecil Reeves had received a citation under Georgia's law pertaining to the expiration or renewal of a driver's license. Georgia State Patrol confirmed that Reeves was driving on an expired license at the time of the crash. The truck involved in the wreck belongs to a company based in Elmore, Alabama, called Brown's Clearing Incorporated. Since the wreck, the damaged bridge had been torn down and the affected portion of Interstate 16 has been reopened. There are plans to rebuild and replace that bridge. Yeah, and that company has to pay for it. There you go. And now let's take a short... This episode of Julia's Trucking Cafe is brought to you by My Patriot Supply. As truck drivers, we all know what it's like to be at a shipper's or receiver's and have to wait to be loaded for hours on end. Am I right? especially produce coolers and paper mills. That's why you need to be prepared with extra food in your truck, especially with the bad weather coming in, like it is over here in Kansas. Up in the Dakotas and Minnesota, 90 was shut down, Interstate 94 was shut down, along with 29. What are you going to do if there's no food and a truck stop was without power? That's why you need to stay prepared with My Patriot Supply. Now, it's not what you're thinking. My Patriot Supply is delicious emergency food. They have food kits that are good up to 25 years. They come in a slimline tote that you can easily store in your food pantry or under your bunk. I can speak from experience. After living through Hurricane Katrina, we were without power for 10 days, me, my mother, and son, and I. If it weren't for the MREs that were flown into us, we wouldn't have any food. There was 4 60-foot pine trees that broke in half during that storm and crossed my driveway and landlocked me in. That's when My Patriot Supply would have come in handy. If I knew then what I know now about My Patriot Supply, I definitely have some of this food stockpiled in my pantry. Now, for a limited time, you could get a 1-week supply of food in a handy and neat looking ammo can, like you see here, for just $39. Look at all that food you get. It's a week's worth of breakfast, lunch, and dinners, just for $39. How do you get it? Where do you go, do you ask? Well, I'll tell you. Just go to my website at juliastruckercafe.com, click on the Emergency Food Supply tab, scroll down and click on any of the images to find out more information and get yours today. They even offer gluten-free food for under $100. Winter weather is here. What would you do if the interstate was shut down, just like I was talking about? You need to get My Patriot Supply and get it today. Welcome back to Julia's Trucking Cafe Trucking News Hour. Thank you so much for coming back and staying tuned and joining me. Up next, Tennessee truck stop gives an update after a fire forced them to shut the doors. We talked about that in the first half of the show. The owners of a popular Tennessee truck stop provided an update to their loyal customer base regarding future plans after an early morning fire forced them to close. The fire occurred on July 19th at the Tennessee truck stop off I-65 at exit 22 when an employee turned on a broiler. The fire spread quickly and caused the ceiling of the restaurant portion of the truck stop to collapse. Fortunately, no injuries were reported. The fire caused major structural damage to the truck stop and the location was shuttered. However, owners say that this is not the end for the Tennessean. According to their post, quote, "We are grateful to our brave first responders and amazing staff throughout this extremely difficult time. The Tennessean has proudly welcomed truckers, travelers, and locals 24/7 since 1974. While our doors may be temporarily closed due to the fire, our hearts are overwhelmingly filled by the support and prayers for our well-being. We are truly blessed. Thank you. Please know we are committed to rebuilding a bigger and better Tennessean travel stop as soon as we can," said the owners. That is sad to see something like that go. Hopefully they will rebuild and not sell out to a major chain like it's been happening a lot lately. And up next, a mass casualty crashes reported on the PA Turnpike. Pennsylvania State Police have confirmed that pileup crashes involving semi-trucks occurred on the PA Pike on Wednesday, July 21st in the afternoon. According to the state police, 2 crashes involving 8 vehicles occurred on Wednesday afternoon, the crashes were located in Lancaster County. Fire company reported units being dispatched to mile marker 292 on the westbound Turnpike for a mass casualty incident involving several vehicles with 15 plus injuries. The county commissioner called the crash a mass casualty incident and asked for prayers for the injured. The local news outlet reports that the crashes occurred after 2 semi-trucks drove into multiple stopped vehicles. As a result, the PA Turnpike is partially closed westbound that day, and one lane opened up about 3 p.m. later that day. And have you seen this guy? Suspect wanted in May and July interstate shootings targeting semis and released a video. Arkansas police were on the hunt for a suspect who is wanted in 2 interstate shootings targeting truckers. On July 21st, Crittenden County Sheriff's Department, based in Memphis, announced that they are looking for a suspect, David Allen Jackson III, who was 29, on felony warrants. Jackson reportedly wanted a connection with 2 shootings. If you're listening to the audio, you can see it on the video, but if you listen to the audio, he's literally driving his car without any hands, leaning out the window, has a cigarette in his left hand, gun in, which looks like an Uzi, or a 9mm, in his right hand, shooting at a truck, going down the highway. Jackson reportedly wanted a connection with those 2 shootings. The first occurred on May 19th on I-55. The police received a report that a semi-truck had been shot and the driver having been struck multiple times. The driver said that the shooter was a dark blue Chevy Malibu. And the second shooting occurred on July 2nd in the same location as the first. This time the truck driver wasn't injured, but the vehicle was hit by multiple rounds. And that suspect that has been accused of shooting semis was then captured and arrested. On July 21st, David Allen Jackson, 29, was arrested without incident as a part of a joint effort between the Crittenden County Sheriff's Department and the West Memphis Police Department. The arrest came shortly after police issued a call for public assistance in locating him. It was being charged with terroristic threat, shooting that caused physical injury, unlawful discharge of a firearm from a vehicle, and firearm possession. He wanted in connection with 2 shootings that happened earlier in the year. Police received a report that a semi-truck was shot. The second shooting, like I said, happened on July 2nd in the same location as the first. They do not say how he was captured. And speaking of shootings, a reckless motorist at large after driving wildly and firing at a truck driver, this time in the city of Akron, Ohio. Police are searching for a motorist that allegedly shot at a truck driver on the Ohio highway early on Thursday morning, July 22nd. Incident happened around 1 in the morning on Interstate 76 near East Market Street in Akron. According to the local news, the truck driver was traveling on the highway when he was brake checked by a silver car. He then noticed the same car tailgating another vehicle, switched lanes to avoid the reckless driver. The trucker says he then saw the driver of the silver car pull out a handgun and heard shots and bullets make contact with his truck as the car exited the highway. The trucker says he fled the area before calling police. Now police are looking to collect information on the suspect in order to identify the car and the motorist. The police are asking anyone with information to call detectives at 330-375-2490. That's 330-375-2490. Call the Summit County Crime Stoppers at 330-434-COPS. 330-434-COPS. And callers can remain anonymous. And in this story, a semi careens toward a hotel in a crash caused by a car driver backing up after missing an exit. A firefighter in Indiana, if you're watching the video, you'll see a red arrow on the slide. That's the semi, and that's how close he came to the hotel. Firefighters in Indiana say that a semi-truck driver crashed onto hotel property after striking a passenger vehicle backing up after the driver missed an exit. Stupid, stupid, stupid. 3-vehicle crash occurred on Wednesday, July 21st after noon on I-74 near State Road 267 in Brownsburg, Indiana. Quote, on arrival, 3 total vehicles were involved. Per witnesses, one vehicle missed the exit and was backing up when that vehicle was struck by a semi. The semi then diverted and ramped over the exit towards the hotel. A third vehicle was tangled up in the wreckage as well. 3 people were taken to the hospital for treatment of injuries. Firefighters say that the truck did not strike the hotel. Like I said, as you can see if you're watching the video, he came awful close, and he also kept it upright. So, for something like that, it was a good job. And up next, a trucking company has dumped 500 plus gallons of spoiled milk down a storm drain. Crying citizens allege. So, how is that? Leave a comment in the comment section of this podcast, or on the Facebook page, or on the website, or on the video, bottom of the video. How is that? My question is, okay, it's spoiled milk. It's mainly water. And this could be a very dumb question, but how is that violating EPA? How is that illegally dumping? A Virginia trucking company is being accused of illegally dumping more than 500 gallons of curdled milk down a storm drain. The incident happened on Wednesday, July 21st in Pulaski, Virginia, at a storm drain located in the former Pulaski Furniture Company site. The drain, which the spilled milk was dumped down, feeds into the Peak Creek and could have a negative impact on the environment. The spokesman, Jordan Witt, said that the local trucking company allegedly responsible for the illegal dumping of such a large volume of milk. However, Witt says the spread of the curdled milk has been contained to a local creek, and the multiple agencies are working to remove as much contaminant from the water as possible. Well, yeah, he's got to kiss butt to the EPA. But how is that illegal dumping? Granted, they didn't have a permit for it. Who's going to give you a permit for that? But how is that, toxic to the water because it's milk? I don't understand. Okay, if somebody could clarify it, I'd appreciate it. And our next story is trucker traffic woes continue as Memphis Bridge repairs inch closer to completion. I will say as a recording of this broadcast, which is in August, even though these stories are in July. Yes, I'm working on it. I've been across the Memphis Bridge. You can't even tell where they were repairing it. Everything's hunky-dory. I was going westbound on 40 and went slapped right across the thing. And westbound is just fine. But according to this story, this was written back July 22nd, traffic is still causing disruptions for truckers traveling through the Memphis area. It is slowing down. The bridge was shut down in May, as we all know, due to a crack in one of the beams. It's actually the cross member across the bridge that goes across the river. In addition, truckers say that signs indicating alternate truck routes can easily be missed, so you often depend on each other to share information on the best routes. Yeah, it's called the CB radio. Another good reason to have one. If you don't, purchase one. There are a lot of signs. A lot of them just tell you to go around or find an alternate route, but I've been around here enough to know that I-55 is the way to come down, said a truck driver. Thankfully, the I-40 bridge repairs are on track to allow for at least a partial bridge reopening by the end of the month, which they did, like I said, they did do. And a recent study is out that there's a rise in accident attributed to people wanting to get out and drive fast. You're first realizing this now. It's been going on for years. Midwestern trucking experts say a recent rise in traffic accidents may have something to do with people's excitement to leave their house. This is in July, and they were able to leave their house back in January? According to the data from National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, traffic fatalities are way up in Illinois in 2021. Yeah, because you got Chicago, with 100 more traffic-related deaths this year than in all of 2020 because people were locked down. Really? Quote, I'm just reading the articles, the stuff that I find, I swear. Quote, what we have seen is an increase in the number of accidents, and the overriding cause of that increase in accidents is speed, says Don Schaefer, Executive Vice President of Midwest Truckers Association. People want to get out and they want to drive fast. Okay, and your point? In addition to speeding, other experts speculate that boredom may have something to do with the rise in incidents, hence why I do this show. No, I'm kidding. Truckers have been working harder than ever in the last year, and truck driving instructor Kenneth Baker says that some drivers may be tired of it. You think? It's repetitive. I'm going to go to the same place every day, but then something changes. You need to be proactive instead of reactive when you drive down that road. No, it's called defensive driving. Apart from boredom, Baker also speculates that recent rise in shipping has led to an even bigger increase in need for drivers. Oh, here we go with the truck driver shortage again, which may have more or less experienced truckers out on the road and could lead to issues for everyone involved. How about people staying home because Daddy Joe Biden wants to pay them unemployment for months on end, and people are getting too damn lazy to work? But anyway, I digress. Quote, the federal government can and has shut down trucking companies for bad safety records, says Schaefer. They've revoked the licenses of truck drivers with repeated safety issues. The fact is, safety drives the industry. When they're out on the road, I try to teach them every little thing that they need to look out for. I can't teach them everything. That's why I'm here. A lot of it is self-learned out there on the road, but you learn as you go, Baker said. That's why I'm here. Oy, if we all band together, we can do this. And sadly, in our next story, a trucker and a motorist perish after a semi-truck flips off a bridge into a canal. 2 people are dead after a wreck sent a semi-truck plunging into a canal in Florida, July 22nd. This happened in Boynton Beach on the Turnpike at around 8:30 in the morning. According to the local news, 2 sedans hit their brakes in front of a semi-truck in stop-and-go traffic, and the trucker was unable to stop. He was operating a bulk tank. The rig slammed into one of the cars, which struck the second car and sent both crashing into the guardrail on the right side of the roadway. The force of the impact sent the semi-truck veering off the highway, where it crushed one of the cars involved before flipping over a concrete barrier and off the side of the bridge. The cab became submerged in the water below while the trailer dangled off of the bridge, and I'm sure the driver drowned. Paramedics rushed the truck driver to a nearby hospital, but 66-year-old unnamed driver was later pronounced dead. 42-year-old unnamed woman inside of the crushed car was pronounced dead on the scene. A woman in the third car suffered only minor injuries. And then the southbound lanes were then reopened around 3:45 that day. So, to the unknown driver, his family, if anybody's listening to this that they know the family, our sincere condolences to his family. And diesel rationing took place at some TAs back in July, and I was there. Now, I'm going to tell you my version of events and not read it from the story. And the reason being is because the reporter who did this story, who I have called out on, misspoke. It is not... The rationing was in Nevada, Arizona, and some of Utah, up Highway 15. And then that's the route I ran. What happened was, and I'm recording this show here in Kingman, beautiful Kingman, Arizona. And what happened was 2 weeks ago, severe weather came through and they had a lightning strike. That short-circuited their fuel stop button on the outside of the building, and it shut all the fuel tanks down. Pumps and all. Computers, pumps, everything. Shut it all down. Could not get any fuel. The same thing happened up at the TA. Now, as far as Utah on 15, I do not know. Excuse me. I don't know if this also happened at the fuel distribution center either. All I know is what happened at Kingman Petrol. The reporter is trying to blame the pipeline hack on this. And it's not true. Now, there was fuel shortages on the east coast of the country back when the pipeline was hacked, yes. But this particular one had nothing to do with the pipeline, is my point to the story. So she got her information from the company website, and diesel gallons at the TA Express in Parowan, Utah, which is 78 exit on 15, were limited 60 gallons. The diesel at the TA currently limited 60 gallons. She's saying due to market supply. That's wrong. And then the petrol in Vegas was currently limited 60 gallons. So, but then they turn around and she gives an update. Well, as of Monday morning, everything got fixed. But Saturday and Sunday, everything was down. So that's to clarify. If you read that story or saw the same story I did, this, it is to clarify because I was here during that storm, and that lightning strike sounded like it struck right next to my truck. It was that loud and that strong. I greatly, greatly appreciate each and every one of you who tune in to listen to me each week here on the cafe. If you wouldn't mind, please subscribe using the link below, or on CloudHub, please subscribe at the top of the page. I greatly, greatly appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. As I said, please, if you wouldn't mind, stop in if you're on Facebook and give us a like on Facebook. Also join our discussion group at Julia's Trucking Cafe Regulars. And if you wouldn't mind, subscribing to our newsletter at juliastruckingcafe.com/newsletter. So thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time. You have been listening to Julia's Trucking Cafe Truckin' News Hour. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Take care. Have a blessed day.